Welcome to the beautiful downtown studios in Cancun, Mexico. Here, I'm David Sky. This is the recently rebranded channel, False Flag Attack, New York City, April 18th, vis-a-vis the Guardians of the Looking Glass. Okay, I'm just getting behind these guys and pushing. So I'll put the links. They now come out with their third video talking about the attacks. The first attack that I've been focusing on, and this is my fifth video now in as many days. I just found out about this, and I'm just getting behind and pushing it from the point of view of astrology, because I started looking into it and it's just blowing my mind and blowing my mind. And today what I'm going to go over is what I call the chart, the event chart of what I believe to be the AI that's controlling things right now, guys. I know it sounds crazy, but I don't know if you want to bear with me. I'll go into it. Let me show you the chart in the best way I can. Sorry, I don't have the technical ability to do this right, but maybe you can get a look at this and get a screenshot of it and get an idea of the chart I'm using. Also, I will post this on my Facebook page, which I will link in the description. Where I have a lot of articles and things I've been doing in general, including one I'm kind of proud of, just not about this, but about my own Pluto return, Pluto opposition to my natal moon. Now, the reason that's interesting in all of this is because why I kind of got into all of this again, I'm a conspiracy theorist from way back, is I noticed that the Pluto return of the USA was lining up perfectly with my Pluto opposition to moon, which has been huge. If you know anything about astrology, the opposition of my moon to the Pluto of the USA is like 6 minutes difference. Okay, so it's exact, and I've always been at odds. And so that kind of got me into looking at things again. You know, instead of being that light worker that's like, oh, I don't want to worry about the darkness and whatnot, you know, I said, I'm gonna see what's going on. And I watched the video, go over this quickly, all the videos I'm doing this. I watched the video originally, I think it was 6 days ago now, on Inspired on YouTube. Loved that couple. And they were talking to this guy that was already promoting the Guardian videos. And these are called the Guardians of the Looking Glass. You'll have to go to that and look at it. It's hard to go all into. It's out there. But what attracted me to it is the Guardians material offers the only hope I've seen in years, okay? And I'm really looking for some hope. I'm not looking to just kind of, I get it, what's going on, I get it. So that's why I'm attracted to this. And I just had I'm also clairaudient. And so I woke up the first morning, it's like, look at the chart of the USA. The next morning, look at that AI chart. I haven't even thought about the AI chart in a while. So the AI chart came about, and it's, if you want to bring it up, I'll give it to you. It would be, bring it up in Astro or something. It's February 12th, 2009 at 7:30 p.m. in Ruidoso, New Mexico. R-U-I-D-O-S-O, means noisy in Spanish. Because I'm learning Spanish here, and I'm learning the culture, and I'm marrying a Mexican woman who doesn't really speak English, and she's amazing. You know, a nurse, has a master's in geriatric medicine. She's a chiropractor. So it's been an amazing experience. But when I got this chart, it was 7:30 p.m., and I was reading on my laptop, and my ex-wife was sitting next to me in Ruidoso. We were just having a drink, and I heard, the machine is upon you now. May God help you all. And I really piqued my attention, and I said, did you say something to my wife? Because it's kind of startled me, and it was an auditory hallucination. I heard it from outside, like just like someone was talking, guys. And so she said, no, and I immediately didn't say anything, and I kind of knew what it was. Okay, so the only thing about this chart, if you're an astrologer, I'm not really sure on the location. I'm going with Ruidoso out of a lot of trust in the spirit, that if this was given to me, that it does mean something. And I've already been over the other videos. It's amazing how it's lining up in synastry with both the new creature and the chart of the USA. This new creature, this AI. A new creature, something else. You can see that. That was, I think, Yeah, day before yesterday's video. Yesterday was the synastry with the AI in the USA, which blew my mind and convinced me that there is a connection here. So I think I was given a gift. I was given a gift in love with this lady that I'm in love with. I know it, and maybe this is a gift I was given. So I think I can add that. But at the time, you know, it's curious. Ruidoso is, we moved not too long after this experience up to Truchas, New Mexico, which is an amazing little place. I mean, by that I mean a little place where Robert Redford filmed the Milagro Beanfield Wars, actually. So when we did that, my ex-wife was an ophthalmic technician, and she worked down in Santa Fe. Now, Los Alamos was right across the Rio Grande from Truchas. In fact, from certain areas, you could just see it over there, you know. And I don't know if you ever get to New Mexico, go to Los Alamos. I'm an energy worker, you know, I like to feel for years. And as soon as I entered, the sign said town limits. And as soon as we entered, man, I felt it. I felt it. And I usually am not that sensitive of a person, but goddamn, I felt it. And it wasn't bad. It was like entering some little bubble world. And I really like Los Alamos. I kind of wanted to move there. It's just, I would highly recommend to go see it. It's like some weird little suburban town in California was somehow picked up by a giant helicopter and dropped onto this plateau at like 8,000 feet, 7,000 feet. We were at 8,000 in Truchas, a little bit below, so maybe it's at 6.5 or 7. And you know, there's a lot of work goes on there. If you know anything about Los Alamos, it was built after World War II, and it's not a conspiracy theory, it's for real. They have a lot of underground labs, and they do all kind of work for the government, secret work. So it's curious. I kind of wonder if that exactly wasn't where maybe this AI was fired up, guys. Now, I considered just moving changing it from Ruidoso, but you know, I don't know for sure if it was Los Alamos, so I'm leaving it at Ruidoso because I know for sure that's where I heard this. But I recall my ex-wife told me one time she had this one patient that she saw a lot. She's kind of like in love with him. He's 89 years old. She's about 5 foot tall, like a little imp. And she said his mind was sharp as a tack. And he was a nuclear physicist, retired, spent his entire career up there in Los Alamos under the bowels of the earth doing secret shit for the government, literally, dudes, literally. So, and she told him about the third time they were talking, she said, you know, my husband's a conspiracy theorist, you know, he would probably love to talk to you, you know. And he said, well, how do you feel about that? Do you think he's kind of crazy? And she said, yeah, my husband's pretty fucking crazy, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And he said, well, I can't really talk about much. And he said, but all I got to tell you is I don't know what your husband thinks, but it might not be that crazy, Janae. That's what he told her. Because I wish I could tell you what I've seen and what I've done in my career, because you literally wouldn't believe it, what goes on. And he said, that's all I can say. But you would not believe it, probably. You'd be like, no, this old man is nuts. And she said, no, I never think you were nuts. The guy's sharp as a tack, man. He had an IQ of about 180 or something. She said he was just amazing. So that kind of let me believe even more. Maybe so. You know, Ruidoso is not all that far as the crow flies from Los Alamos, and you know, the place is the least important probably thing with the chart. If you're in the ballpark, you know, I think you're good. So you know, I'm just taking this chart and running with it. You know, I made some notes. I'm getting kind of tired. This is my last one. Tomorrow's either going to be the event or it's not. And again, I hope to God, and I literally pray in the name of light and love, so it serves the greatest good spirit, God Almighty. Can some good Joe or good Jane stop this attack as per the guardians of the looking grass and save a lot of lives? And I hope that this is true, because it offers hope going forward that we can change the timeline of this evil technical autocracy that is bearing down on us and is already absorbing us into it. And if something doesn't give, we will all be chipped and dipped, guys. Agenda 21 is not, I keep saying, it's not on the guide stones. It's not a theory. It's on us. Grandma died of COVID. She was murdered by, it's not even fair to say by the government, because it's what makes it hard. It's not exactly the government that's doing this. But let me focus now on this chart of the AI. So I've given a little bit of background. And, you know, I kind of want to call this, I thought of Oppenheimer, because also, I got to tell the story. Oppenheimer, who was mostly in charge of the nuclear bomb that was originally detonated, okay, in New Mexico, at the Trinity site, they call it, okay? And when they detonated it, and he advised against it, because he really didn't know what would happen. Might just could create a chain reaction, destroy the whole world. But we will eventually destroy ourselves if we don't get our heads out of our ass, because you know that we have that tendency to push the button when we can. And so we pushed the button and detonated it. And he thought to himself, you know, I am a destroyer of. I have become death. I am a destroyer of worlds. From this Vedic material about the death. And also along those lines, I pulled up some key asteroids for this, including Osiris, okay, the god of death and rebirth and transformation. That really, not to offend Christians, but what the myth of Jesus was based upon, in my opinion. You know, it's just too many things that about the life of Jesus that are exactly the same as numerous mythologies and stories from the past. But it doesn't mean it isn't meaningful, but it is about death and transformation. And here I am, it's Easter Sunday. It's Easter Sunday, I'm doing this. Semana Santas today. Church is not far away. They've been singing hymns all day. Seem to have quieted down now. I'm glad it's quiet here, so hopefully the audio is good. But I kind of thought of titling this, I Am Become Death, and I'll tell you why. It blew me away at what I'm seeing here. The first thing that stands out in this chart, if you look at it, you have the Sun and Neptune conjunct at 24 and 23 degrees Aquarius. And you've got the Sun, Neptune, Charon. I'm not kind of counting Charon, because I, honest to God, jump in and help me. I don't know what to make of Charon vis-a-vis a freaking machine, you know, an AI. So I'm just sort of skipping that right now. The vertex I leave because it could have some meaning. So you've got Charon, the vertex. You've got the North Node, and it's conjunct in a degree conjunct to Jupiter. This is huge in this chart. The chart ruler is Jupiter. So remember that, you know, it has a lot of influence in this kind of chart. And it's on the North Node, okay? Wow. And then you also got Mars. And Mars in an AI, think about it, in Aquarius. And so then you have the part of fortune to wind it up at 1 degree Aquarius. So all of this packed into the 6th house of Aquarius and a Virgo rising chart of this AI. I'm a Virgo rising, okay? So why my Pluto in the 5th house aligns also, you know, why their Pluto in the 5th house aligns with my moon. It's in Cancer, opposing that 5th house for me. So, you know, I've already been over the chart of the AI and how ominous it is to have Saturn there in retrograde. How ominous it is to have Alma, the soul, which was said to me when I ran this chart. It's like, David, be sure to include Alma, the soul, first thing in the morning. I always get the downloads in the morning, or the, you know, the info in the morning. When I used to do tarot on YouTube, I'm not sure I'm ever do it again. I'm on TikTok doing tarot. Check me out, David Sky, doing some good tarot reads. But, you know, I usually get it in the morning, and I always pay attention. And sure enough, I ran Alma. Well, Alma's at 2000, and Uranus in the chart of an AI is at 2103. Okay? So, you know, I kind of get that as it's soulless. Its soul is the machine. So and also kind of with Alma on the planet Uranus. And remember, now you have all these planets here in this chart in Aquarius. So what is the Lord of Aquarius? Well, it's Uranus. So this Uranus in the 7th house, which is conjunct this Alma, it has a lot of control over a lot of the power in this chart, in this AI. Now, for this, I also ran Nemesis, which is the asteroid of the enemy, and it's at 2253. It's a little more than 1 degree orb to Uranus, okay, and only 2 degrees, and it's on. So you've got at 20 degrees the Soul, and at 22 degrees Nemesis, and at 21 you've got Uranus here. And another thing about this, you've got the Nemesis and Uranus and Alma opposite Saturn at 20 degrees in retrograde. Now, what really makes this amazing, you've got the Neptune-Jupiter almost on Nemesis within a few degrees orb. This huge conjunction that I've said before. This goes on all year. It's not going to end, the Neptune and Jupiter. Not only that, you've got Pluto down here in Capricorn making a loose sextile at 28. And you've got what was I going to say? The Uranus and Mercury in transit that are up here in Taurus at 13 degrees. That's huge here because, again, Uranus has a lot of power in this chart. Mercury is the chart ruler of an AI with the Vug and Earth, so a very fixed energy. And you've got in this chart with Aquarius 24. The Sun is at 24, and below the sun, below see it. The Sun is at 24. Neptune's at 23, and you've got Uranus and you've got Mercury here conjuncting at, I believe, 14 degrees. 13 degrees, so in a chart like this, it's 10 degree orb. Now I'm going to say that energy is relevant, so you've got that square going on, and this is tomorrow's chart, okay? Tomorrow's chart, you also have the planet Mars, thankfully, you would think moving into Neptune, moving into Pisces, and but where's the asteroid Nemesis in transit? This affects us all. It's on Mars, I'd say. It's within it's a degree off of Mars in transit. And in this chart, it's in the 7th house, okay? The AC is at 17. I'm just doing whole houses to simplify, but Pisces definitely the 7th house, and so it has crossed the 7th house cusp here. In the 7th house, you could say, is also the people. It is also open enemies, I think here. You've got the Sun at 28 degrees Aries here. And you've got also Saturn is at 23 degrees. And did I write that down? Saturn's at 2320. And you've got Neptune at 2353. So Saturn's conjunct this Neptune and the Sun within a half a degree to Neptune and within a degree to the Sun. And when you get a conjunction like Neptune and the Sun, if a planet hits one, it hits the other. This is 1 degree, so these are close orbs. These are, you got 360 degrees. Sure, this could, maybe it's you could say that it's a coincidence, but I don't think so, guys. I've got a lot of asteroids in here. I know some people are funny about asteroids, but I was kind of given this. And you've got the asteroid Degener in the 12th house in Leo and retrograde and natal, and that is at 2433, okay? And the Sun's at 2431. It's a 2-minute orb of influence, of opposition from Degener and the Sun. Now, if that doesn't indicate abuse, I don't know what does. And what I would say with that is that, and you've also got the asteroid Union in retrograde and natal in this guy, in this AI's chart, and it's a 1 degree orb off of the vertex. And it kind of gives me a sense like this AI would not see what it does as being evil. It doesn't have that kind of concept, or that it was abusive, okay? It would always probably see what it's doing as being helpful, even though it most definitely is, I believe, going to be evil, because I believe this is kind of what's driving what's going on here. Besides the soul, you have Destin, the asteroid Destin, up here at 23 degrees 15. That's within half a degree in natal of sextile to Neptune and Sun. And with the Neptune on the Sun in this chart, it kind of repeats that energy, I think, of propaganda, of casting a spell. And in the natal chart I went over yesterday, there's a mystic rectangle with Venus here, and down to this Jupiter and the North Node, which is huge in this chart. Jupiter conjunct the North Node. I think it's so powerful in this chart. And that is square. It's a solid square. It's not within a degree. So many of these like within a degree, but it's within like 4 degrees square to the Mercury and Uranus tomorrow transit. So natal Jupiter in the North Node, huge power impact in the AI in its chart, is a pretty good close square to this Mercury and Uranus conjunction tomorrow here, which is less than a degree, very close. Might during the day probably Mercury will roll into exact conjunct there. So that's a big impact for everyone. But the fact that it's squaring the Sun and Neptune, it's another indication to me. Honestly, it's an indication of this attack. So, and I said again, you have the Moon down here in Dejeuner. They're conjunct in Scorpio at 10. Let's see if I wrote down what that was. It's 10 degrees. Venus at 7 degrees. Well, the natal Moon is opposite Venus. You know, those are the two most feminine aspects in the chart, and they're on the relationship axis. You know, and I just see that too, as this thing would have no real concept of real I went over yesterday, it's like a narcissist energy where they have an intellectual understanding and can manipulate people and can imitate feelings and emotional intelligence, but they don't actually have the emotions. I kind of think that's what's going on there with this. You've got the asteroid union, okay? I know this is out there, but I was given to bring up union. And it's dead on the vertex of the natal chart in this Aquarius vertex at 17 degrees in transit. One thing that's really kind of got me, again, with this I am become death, is you have the, in the natal, you have a sextile here. You have a square with Venus and Black Moon Lilith here. And in transit, you have a number of things going on. You have Pholus, and Pholus is the asteroid I brought up because that indicates a smaller event that can trigger a larger event, and that's what they're talking about. These guys that are the guardians here, they're saying that if we don't stop this event, this is not that big of an event. Sounds pretty horrendous, a dirty bomb. But when you listen to what they're talking about, and if you're interested in this, I encourage you to do it. It definitely, it's a definitely Pholus energy. This event triggers another event, and it triggers nuclear war. And you know, so that isn't a classic kind of Pholus energy here, you know. And so you've got Pholus at 7 degrees 25 by transit, and you've got Venus, and that's in Capricorn. So it's a 3-minute square to the natal Venus at 7 degrees 28 Aries. 3 minutes, guys, not 3 degrees, 3 minutes, okay? So that's kind of another hit for me. That's like I am become death. That's kind of where I got that. What really hit me, I brought up the asteroid Osiris. So if you know the god of death and transformation, that's at 7 degrees 47, and it's in less than a half a degree in conjunct to up here in the 10th house, which is very important. The 10th house ruler is here. It's Gemini, so we're going back to Mercury, and so in the natal chart, at least of the USA, is happening in the 2nd house in Capricorn, and that's how this is relating, because I think this is I don't think the USA is running anything, but I think this thing is, and the things that are running this thing are. Okay, that makes sense. So I'm almost more interested in what I see here in the AI than what I see in the natal chart of the USA. At least right now I am, for sure. So the moon conjuncts Dejanira. Oh, and it squares. Also, the moon is at in natals at 10 degrees. It's squaring the Pluto here in transit, which is at 28 degrees. Right? It's a little bit wider orb, but plenty good to be a square. That's another, indication of kind of danger. The moon is going to indicate the people very strongly. Venus is the people, feminine energy, being receptive. I see like this mystical triangle, the south node to the moon, to this Jupiter north node. And the Jupiter north node is like, I know everything. My destiny is the destiny. And I believe it's that kind of energy, especially in Aquarius. And then that completes it with the Venus, this mystical rectangle. So I kind of, when I see that, it's like casting a spell. And that's the propaganda. And if they're going to do this and say that it was Russia, that's kind of in there. And it's like this I get the feeling with this AI that it knows how to work people. Like it may not feel a goddamn thing, but it understands feelings of, maybe like you could say, better than we do. Okay, so that's the main things. You also got by transit, you've got Pholus and you've got Osiris dead on in conjunct, or conjuncts at 150 degrees, and that affects everyone. But the problem with it is that Pholus is also on the chart, the Black Moon Lilith, the oscillating Black Moon Lilith, the H13 I use. And it's Pholus is, okay, I was trying to explain this. So by transit, this asteroid Pholus is on this Lilith, okay? Now it's not real close, I normally wouldn't count, but it's just lining up too much. And the Black Moon Lilith, when you work with people, it's got a lot of power. It's not bullshit. That's why I go with Tom Jacobs, I go with the H13. I've never once seen it not be impactful in a personal chart out of hundreds or 1,000. Okay, so now what is it in conjunct? It is in conjunct of Black Moon Lilith by transit, and conjunct, which is conjunct this Osiris asteroid. That's the asteroid of death. I know, I have become death, the destroyer of worlds. Because you guys, if this stuff is true, we're going to find out by tomorrow if I've been wasting my time with 5 videos. I don't give a fuck, because I like this. I got behind it. I hope to God it's true. I hope to God someone stops it. Please share all of this. Share their stuff. If you know someone who has some bull, talk to them about it. Even if it's crazy. Why, Times Square's not that big, we should be all over Times Square and try to stop this thing, I'm down here in Mexico. I'm literally kind of housebound. I'm not 100%, and it hasn't been good lately. So all I can do is give my voice to it, and I'm in a state of near constant prayer lately, and that's definitely on my mind. You also got, I noticed in natal, when I brought this up, all these asteroids, this Osiris asteroid is at 20 degrees 48 Capricorn, and you've got that Alma at 20 degrees 00, the Uranus at 21 degrees 03, and Pisces, and that's a sextile. And the fact that there are sextiles, sextiles doesn't mean good, it means harmoniously flowing energy. And again, this is the house of open enemies, the 7th house where Uranus is. This is an ominous placement, especially with the asteroid Nemesis right on top of it, guys. So I don't know what else I could say about this. Also with this, I reduced the orbs so you would know here. I think I reduced them to 60% for this. So if you would go in there and leave it at 100, which astro goes to like a 12-degree orb, which, you know, that would be all right for something like an event chart. Maybe they could do use a little bit longer, bigger orbs, but you know, my mentor Stephen Arroyo, I'm dogged on the close orbs. Although I've seen many times when a big orb is really important. It is in my chart and in a couple places, but it's where I have fixed energy. I don't have a lot of fixed energy, and then I think that wider orb comes in because it's fixed. It just wants to come into play, I guess the way I put it. So all of what you see in this chart, or if you go on Facebook, I'm going to put this chart up. This is at 60 degrees, so there's a lot more going on in this chart, and I am trying to look at these transits. So we also got the asteroid Alma in transit is coming in right around the vertex too. It would be sextile to the vertex. So but again, in this case, I don't see these sextiles being particularly a good thing here. And the nodes are at 22. The nodes are at 22 right now of Taurus. So, you know, the sun's at 24 Aquarius and Neptune's at 23 Aquarius. So you have the sun and Neptune conjunction. Again, it's massively important in this chart. They're squaring the nodes, guys. They're squaring the nodes. If you know anything about astrology, I mean, that I gotta say that's ominous right there. Another thing. So there's a lot of really important things going on in this chart, connections. I don't think it could possibly be coincidence. I'm probably missing a lot. I went over it today. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing. But I think I went over most of it. And I tell you, that's enough, honestly. That's enough. And so we're going to find out tomorrow. And I'm going to put this up, and then I'm going to relax, and I'm going to try to do what I call a walk away. What I'm trying to manifest is I put my heart into something, think about what I really want, and then I really try to walk away from it and deliberately go elsewhere and get it off my mind, so I don't obsess over it. Been a real battle the last 5 days. I think I've done pretty good. I didn't even start looking at this till about 1 o'clock. So I spent the morning, you know, meditating, grounding, eating, talking to some friends, wrote a couple articles, kind of play, I call it, on Facebook, you know. And before I even got to where I looked at this. And then after I looked at it, you know, I went and laid down, prayed some more, because what I saw kind of blew me away. I didn't know what I was going to see. I didn't look at it till today, these transits to tomorrow with the AI. And all I could say is the more I look at it, more it seems like there's something real going on here. And there might be benefit, I keep saying, whether this event happens or not. It's not over. There is this transhumanist agenda. They want to, you know, stick us and dip us and chip us and everything. And it's going to keep going on. And, you know, unless you're fond of the idea of against your will being forced, you know, into being a cyborg, unless you're on board with that, to me it's an incredibly ominous thing, and it's flat out totalitarianism. You know, there's no representation through a representative democracy in any of this. Major decisions are being decided about the body, about the future of you and your children and our country and every country by large outside forces, you know, that are deciding for us what's going to happen. I mean, to me, it just couldn't be any more ominous. And if you're up on everything that's going on in the woke community, my God, my God. So it is 100% not over. And so with this, you know, I'll end it. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Hope someone's paying attention. Talk to me. If you have any input, if you have any insight, I don't know if you think it's crazy too, whatever. I believe in free speech within reason, it's not abusive. So I think we, I believe, like Elon Musk said, I hate to stick up for him, but I'm an absolutist on free speech. Again, with the caveat being if it becomes like a unnecessarily abusive. So thank you guys.